Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Kubewarden community meeting for August 2025. It's been a month as always, and right now in the northern hemisphere we have summer, so it's a bit more calm this month maybe than others, but still we had some things going on. So as always, I'm Victor. I'm one of the maintainers of Kubewarden. I will be your host for this call, and in the call today we also have JsoC, which is also a maintainer.
Hello, hello.
And we have also GsoC. GsoC is our Google Summer of Code mentee, our student. Yep, and it's nice to have you both here. For those that join later on, as always, feel free to bring any questions or any topic in the chat or somewhere in the call, or if you are listening to us later on a recording, then just drop by on Slack and chat with us. Okay, so that thing said, let me see what we have today for the agenda. And here we have the agenda. The agenda, as always, it's public, so you can edit these Google Docs and come up with whatever you want to talk about. For this meeting, we have some recap of the Kubewarden 127 release. So we're going to talk about a new policy, a new capability, and some changes to Kwctl. And then we're going to share a bit of the progress on Google Summer of Code, which is going quite great. So we're happy about that. On the first topic of the 127 release, we have the new high-risk service account policy. Maybe I wonder if JsoC, you would like to share about this, or I should go. I see that you are coming by.
Yeah, I can share, and you can add comments if is necessary. So basically, we wrote a new policy which leverages the Kubernetes authorization API, which means that this policy is able to check if a service account in use in your workload resources has more permissions that you would like to give it. So for instance, in the policy settings, you can say like, please do not allow a service account to run, to not allow to use a service account in some of my workloads, which has these rules like list secrets in this example on screen, but you can basically add any resources which is in the cluster, and then under the hood, the policy will send a request to Kubernetes authorization API and check if the service account is allowed to do that, and if is allowed, it will block the resource. So that's the what the policy does. And I don't know if I I explained very well. You are muted, sorry.
Sorry, I was saying that sounds like a good summary, to be honest. As you were saying, it uses the authentication API of Kubernetes. And maybe people already know about it with this kubectl auth can I. So just in case, I'm just referencing it.
The only thing that needs to be aware that there is some of different ways to check. Like in the screen, you can see subject asset review, local subject asset review, and self-subject rules review, which is the kind of resource that you can ask. You can use to ask Kubernetes if you are allowed or not, or if some service account is allowed or not to do some of these operations. And we use subject access review. We build that and send it to the cluster, because the default for the command, if I'm not mistaken, unless you set the S CLI flag, it uses self-subject rules review. So we need to be aware of that if you would like to test that locally using the command line and the policy and compare results. But yeah, that's and by the way, this policy require additional RBAC for the policy server, which means that the default Kubernetes, our default if you are running a policy server and you would like to use this policy, you need to add one more permission to the service account in use, which is the create of the subjective review resources. If I'm not mistaken, there is documentation about that, but I'm just remembering on top of my mind. Yeah.
I think that's correct. No, this is for the policy servers that one creates, no, like custom policy servers. For the one that is
Yes.
the default, we already have set up this, no, so we allow
Yes.
it.
Yes. By default, the default one already have this permission.
And as you were saying, for this, we make use, no, of a new Kubewarden host capability. And that host capability, makes a query against the Kubewarden, the policy server, no host. And then that is going to create the service access, subject access review. Now that reminds me about the docs about the specification for this CanI host capability. It's just, as always, a JSON object, no? And here we pass things that we would use to create this subject access review. Of course, we don't have things that are specific, no, for the Kubernetes API in the sense of providing the kind or the group, things like that, because we can just fill that on our own. But yeah. And now I'm remembering. Of course, this CanI capability, no, I mean, it's querying the Kubernetes API, so that takes time and that takes resources.
Yeah.
So we support a cache for this kind of request.
Yeah, and the policy also returns in the first allowed rule. So we do not exhaust all the blocked rules. If the first one already is like the block rule is allowed, so which means that the resource should not be deployed, the policy will return immediately. It will not run until the end of the blocked rules. It returns in the first failed.
Okay, so basically fail early, no? Oh man, I'm forgetting the term. Not a shortcut, but a short circuit on evaluating the things.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good. As usual, the policy comes with some examples. This is going to be a bit more convoluted than others because for providing an example, no one would need to check against a service account that needs to be configured correctly with a cluster role, and then that cluster role bound with a cluster role binding with the service account. But yeah, at the end.
Yes.
Okay, that's it, I suppose, for the high-risk service account. For the CanI, yes?
Sorry. Just
No.
remember something important. If the resource is not defined as service account, the policy assumes that you use the default one. So that's it will always validate with some service account. If you not define it, we use the default, which is what Kubernetes will use in the end. So we assume that as a role. So there is just that.
Yes,
a
makes
corner
sense.
Information, a corner case. Yeah.
Which is basically, it's not in our side, no, in our implementation, but it's just how the Kubernetes API works.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's always a fail safe to check against things. Yeah, I'm thinking if we are missing anything more from the policy itself.
No, I think
maybe
that's
not.
all.
As usual, it's available on Artifact Hub. You can click install to find how to pull the policy and to scaffold a cluster emission policy with it. And yeah, for the CanI have a capability, yes, we provided the docs for the reference, and we implemented it in the SDK of Rust and the SDK of Go and on all the SDKs. And as we will see, it's about to be implemented in the SDK for TypeScript and JavaScript, which is super nice. Maybe I can show the docs super fast. So we go to, for example, the RAS one and the host capabilities and cluster. We can see here the function can I that just accepts a request and returns the result of the status of that request. And the same for the Go one. Okay. Yeah, I suppose that's it, no, for the host capability and so on. This means this meant changes to the SDKs and the policy server, and also having fun and consuming it on a policy. More changes that we did were on Kwctl, which up until 126, well, it ran policies locally, but there were things that are quite cluster dependent that were still on the policy server side and not taken care locally. But that's not the case anymore. Now, Kwctl, when it's running a policy, it understands the policy spec.mode. So if the policy is set as protect or monitor, that means that if it's set as protect, which is the default, it will just reject things and so on. But if the policy spec mode is set to monitor, then it would just emit a warning saying, hey, you are not supposed to, this is not allowed, but it would not reject the request. So just as it would happen on the cluster. We also support now the spec.message, which was recently added, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was 120, yeah, the previous one, 126. So this is a custom message. If you don't provide it, the policy returns whatever it's encoded, codified, no, written inside. But if you provide it, it overrides the message. And now Kwctl also honors it, which is nice because you can test it if you are developing policies. And also, we support the spec.mutating. Of course, you could see with Kwctl if a policy was mutating or not and see the mutated result and so on. But what didn't happen is that if you, it didn't matter what you declare with spec mutating. And now, if you try to mutate things, but you are not declaring yourself as a policy that can mutate, then Kwctl would reject and print a warning, just as it happens on policy server. And last but not least, we did some bug fixes to Kwctl, which were released as patch releases also. And this entails Kwctl scaffold admission request. So for scaffolding an admission request, yeah, I can just show it here. Super fast. Here we have a deployment, nothing new. And then if we want to scaffold an admission request from that deployment, so it's something kind of, no, like if you try to do a create of this deployment, what would go against the Kubernetes API, which is what this scaffold command would give you. Yeah, you can run this command, which already existed, and it provides you with the JSON that would go to the API of Kubernetes, which is incidentally what you need to develop a policy. No, this JSON would get into the policy as input, and then with this, you maybe will look at, yeah, I don't know. I don't like this namespace name, and then I reject or I approve. So we had some issues here because for doing this, we create a cache. We try to connect with a running cluster, and if it's there, we just create a cache of all the available resource types, resource definitions. So this can work with custom resource definitions that are not that are additional, no, to Kubernetes. So we had some problems there with the cache, and we have sorted that out. And we also had problems with saving. Sorry. We were changing this input test.yaml, which would be this deployment file now and so on, when we should not. So yeah, now this should be more streamlined, and maybe in the future we can see a bit of docs on how to just use Kwctl with 4 or 3 commands and just iterate and create more admission requests easily. Well, yeah, that's it. That was for the 127 release. I suppose we can go to the next topic, which is Google Summer of Code. That's a nice topic, to be honest. We have here GsoC. Yeah, GsoC. Last week was it when we got the alpha 0 of the SDK?
Yeah. I think it was last week. So we published the SDK Alpha 0 as an npm package under the name Kubewarden-policy-sdk. And the Alpha 0, I think it has 2 out of the host capabilities and then parts of the Kubernetes host capabilities of Kubewarden. Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm seeing the Kubewarden user on npm.js, sorry, npmjs.com.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is nice. No, it's the first time that we get a release. It's super nice to have an SDK for TypeScript and JavaScript, I have to say. It's still early in the process. We have some host capabilities, no, and we still have some things to sort out.
Yeah.
It's going well. Here you can see the repo. Let me just go to the head of the branch. It's turning out well. It's a bit surprising how it works because, of course, we need to compile TypeScript and JavaScript into WebAssembly.
Yeah.
And for doing that, we have a little JV plugin that allows us to provide a utility that it's WASM. Once you compile this, it's a little WASM utility. And then this WASM utility expects as SDIN things, things for this utility is going to run the JavaScript policy and then expects on SDIN the input of a admission request, and then in SDOut just prints the result. And this is just WASM WASI being WebAssembly system interface. So basically SDIN, SDOut, SDR, and little more.
Yeah.
In that sense, okay. May I ask GsoC, what are you working right now on this topic?
So right now I'm trying to see how we can release the JV plugin as part of the npm package. So the JV plugin, we have like the source code in Rust there, and we output that as a WASM on its own. So like it outputs JV plugin.wasm file. So, and obviously that's the .wasm file that's used in the policies to take the TypeScript policies or the JavaScript policies and compile those to WebAssembly. So we're trying to add that into the release. So for like an Alpha 1 release, have the JV plugin as part of the npm package, so it can be used from the SDK directly.
That sounds great. And apart from that, I mean, pull requests keep coming. No, we have more Kubernetes host capabilities being implemented and so on. In the past, we have already added several things and changed things, so that's great.
Yeah.
I look forward to having a new alpha release and moving things forward. And yes, what can I say? I was thinking about documentation and so on, but yeah, maybe it's a bit early in the process. I was gonna try to show some documentation, but maybe it's a bit early in the process.
No, I mean, we'll definitely have some documentation. My thing is probably after we get the templates up and everything there gets merged, then probably we can start looking to add more documentation.
Good point. Here in the GitHub organization of Kubewarden, we have this policy template, and we normally have one policy template per well-supported SDK and so on. And that means that we should have a TypeScript, JavaScript one. So yeah, GsoC, you have been also working on the policy template. We have some PR open. I'm not gonna get into details, but yeah, it's moving forward, which is also super nice. And all of this process, it's not only writing TypeScript and JavaScript, but it also includes a bit of doing, setting up things from the ground up with continuous integration, continuous delivery, and all of those things. may I ask you, Esosa, in that sense, so you have been implementing some host capabilities so far.
Yeah.
Which one do you think was the most complicated or in a sense, the most annoying, you know? I'm just wondering.
I think I wouldn't say it was the most complicated, but the one I had the most issues with was the first one. And I think the reason I say it's not the most complicated, because I feel like the first one I did was the OCI manifest. I think that one was just the most complicated because it was the first one I was doing, and I still had a lot of things that I had to get a grasp on. But I think all of them have been kind of like equal difficulty. Obviously, they're all a bit different, but it's kind of like the same process, just especially like, for example, for the Kubernetes one, I had to look a bit into the Kubernetes API, but the main process of like adding those capabilities are relevant, basically the same.
Okay, yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
Many thanks. Yes, on the Google Summit of Code, yeah, we are basically halfway, no, something like that. Yeah, and it's looking good.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to more progress.
Yeah.
I think that's what we have for topics for today. Do you guys have any topic in mind, more or less? Meanwhile, I just check the chat for today.
No, I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Then I suppose that's it for today. Many thanks for joining, guys. Many thanks for those that are listening at home later on, and see you around.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Okay, and